live action Indigo League Pokemon Kanto region movie. But before we start getting into our names and of the actors and actresses that we think are going to be playing characters such as Ash, Misty, Brock, Professor Oak, the gym leaders, we're only going to go through like the primary characters, really, for the most part. I'm not going to worry about voice actors for Pokemon or anything like that. Like, that's just like way too in-depth and detailed. But just like the main, I think we have 13 characters that we're going to be going through today. But the breakdown is, when I'm thinking of an Indigo League Pokemon movie, right, in my mind, I'm thinking this needs to be the start of a trilogy or even like 4 movies, you know, almost like the MCU for Pokemon. Like Detective Pikachu was a great start. Some other offshoot movies would be fantastic. Maybe do like a live action Mewtwo's Revenge type of a deal. Those are kind of, you know, like remakes of the original anime movies and stuff that they could be doing coming down the pipeline as one-offs. But when you think of like a larger picture MCU, they have all of this anime for 8 generations that they've done, you know, with the 9th coming. So much source material. And I think that's where they need to go if they're going to be doing huge growth in the cinematic industry, which I think they have the clout for. They have the fandom for, they have the money for. Like, it's the #1 selling multimedia franchise in the entire world, and they haven't really done cinematic movies. Like, imagine the gap they're going to create with #2, which I believe is still Hello Kitty, in terms of now they're going to have cinematic universe on top of it. And the anime remakes is where we need to go. And of course, Gen 1er's Paradise, Kanto region, needs to be first, right?
And for Jessie, I went with Jennifer Lawrence. I just think she has the attitude. You know, she has the look. You know, just kind of everything about her, like her personality and in the roles that she's done, I think kind of make her a fit for Jessie. Jessie definitely has, you know, kind of an attitude sometimes. You know, she's very stern about some things, especially when it comes to James. But
yes,
you know, and I think she could fit that role really well. I think she could provide some comedic relief as well. Just kind of listening to her in some like interviews she does in that, she's really funny. So I think she could kind of provide that, you know, that quick, you know, comic relief when we need it, especially when it comes to James. And yeah, I think, you know, we can dye her hair bright red and I think it'll look great. You know, that's kind of my thought behind Jennifer Lawrence for this one. I think she just kind of fit the mold really well.
You're right. She is absolutely naturally hilarious. She is, like, for somebody who's not a comedic actress, she's gotten most of her clout from drama roles. She is hilarious in her interviews, and she is herself, and she is just a very naturally funny person. And I would probably say she is the #1 actress in Hollywood right now, period. And with that being said, I kind of thought of her as well, but I didn't want to go that route because for me, she's a little too big. She's a little too famous for this role. Not saying that she wouldn't accept it. You know, I don't know her. She may love Pokemon and want to be a part of that. I don't know. But for me, again, I for some reason, I have this affinity for like mid-level actors and actresses that are way underrated or on their way up. You know, they're on their way up. And for me, I went with Anya Taylor-Joy, who, again, most famous, most popular for being in the Queen's Gambit television limited series, which is one of my favorite limited series of all time. She was so good in it. So good. Like, such... She has come onto the scene. She's been in other stuff as well, but like that's what really put her on the scene for that. And I think the show maybe even have won a couple of Emmys or something. Let me know down in the comments if it did. But she was like just showed up on scene and exploded and was like, here I am. And now she has more big blockbuster movies coming out. She's in an ensemble cast movie coming. Don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing her name and I was like, oh, Anya Taylor, yeah. And for me, she has the look of a Jessie. She looks like Jessie. She looks like, if you just, like you said, if you put that bright pink hair, that bright pinkish red hair on her, put it in that weird cork, and she would be able to just knock out this just over the top, like mean, funny person. You know, she's a mean, funny person is what it is. And I think, you know, she would really be able to fix that, you know, attack that character and bring it to life very, very well. Like, what do you think of my choice? What do you think of Anya in this role?
No, I think that is actually a fantastic choice. Again, you know, I think she fits the mold very well. I like the fact that, and I think you're right now that I think about it a little bit more. For Jennifer Lawrence, this role might be kind of on the lower level for her. It's not a breakout, you know, or it's not a
could be a good
leading
payday,
role.
Though.
Could be. It's Pokemon.
That's right.
But yeah, I think maybe somebody a little bit more kind of at that level of like really just about to break out of everything. I think would be a fantastic match. So yeah, I think your choice is great for this one, and I think you know, I may have used her in a different role later on that we'll talk about.
We'll just have to see. We'll have to see. You can't have Jessie without James, so now it's time for us to fan cast James in our live action Indigo League Kanto region Pokemon movie, and I went with Aaron Taylor Johnson, which is kind of funny because Jessie, I got Anya Taylor-Joy, and then here I got Aaron Taylor Johnson for James. So you guys know him the most for the movie Kick-Ass, and he was also Quicksilver in Age of Ultron MCU. But the one movie that I saw recently that really made me realize how good of an actor is I just saw Bullet Train, the Brad Pitt movie. And he is phenomenal in this movie. Brad Pitt's great, but for me, in this movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson stole the show. And he was so good with his British accent and very funny. It's a very funny, like almost like Guy Ritchie style movie, Bullet Train is, and it's so good. And I would almost have him be the same character, but like toned down, because like the character he does in Bullet Train, he like curses a lot and like there's a lot of blood and all this kind of. It's a very rated R movie, so I would tone that way down. But just his comedic timing was phenomenal. So he was funny, and James is always the brunt of Jessie's jokes and Jessie's actions, and I think he'd be able to pull that off very, very well. I think him and Anya Taylor-Joy would look fantastic next to each other with their pink and purple hair, and I just think it would be great.
Awesome. I do like that choice. I really do. And I've not seen Bullet Train, but I definitely got to see it now.
It's awesome.
'Cause it sounds awesome. So I'll definitely check that out. So for my, I almost said Jesse. For my James, I went with Ben Schwartz, best known for, he was in Parks and Rec, so that's probably what he's most known for. But more recently, he was in Netflix's Space Force, which was a hilarious show. And I am just thinking about James and how he acts, and he's funny and crazy all the time, getting into so many shenanigans all the time, you know, mostly because of Jesse and things that happen. But I just think Ben Schwartz fits that role. He's funny, he's weird, he's quirky, and that's exactly who James is. You know, from time to time, you know, we even see James, you know, dress up in some pretty extravagant clothing.
Yes.
And I think Ben Schwartz could do that and pull it off. Very controversial. But I think Ben Schwartz could really do that. And he just has like kind of the mannerisms of James and everything, you know. So just based on his comedic style, I mean, that's really all I've ever seen him in. I don't think I've really ever seen him in much of a you know, serious type of role. So I just think he really kind of falls into the shoes of James, because I can't really think of a time when I saw James as being too serious. There's maybe one or two like instances of it, but I mean, he's just kind of going off the rails all the time. And that's pretty much what Ben Schwartz does in every single role that he's been in. So that's why I went with Ben Schwartz for my choice.
So I'm not going to lie, this is one of your selections who I didn't really know them very well.
Okay.
I am not much of a sitcom watcher. I don't watch a lot of sitcoms. I'm a movie guy. I love fantasy, sci-fi, drama thrillers, and I'll do comedies from time to time. but I haven't been a sitcom guy like ever. You know, I'm familiar with Friends
Gotcha.
and Big Bang and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trusting your gut here on this one. He looks like he would fit the role, and I have heard his name before. I'm just not super familiar with him. All right, so we just went over the comedy side of Team Rocket, but it's time to get a little bit serious. The boss man himself, Giovanni.
Yeah, so for Giovanni here, I kind of had a little bit of trouble with this one. I wanted to find somebody, who was really serious, could be mean when they need to be, because Giovanni is definitely not a very nice person. And I kind of, thought about a few different people, but I really landed on Christian Bale. He has done a lot of different movies where it's called like method acting, right? Where you really get into the role that you're in, and he does that fantastically. And just from all of his roles, I feel like the majority of them have been very serious roles. Even going back to kind of like, American Psycho, where I kind of get his
one of my favorite movies of all time.
His personalities for Giovanni from that movie, but then kind of like the seriousness and the darkness that Giovanni has from kind of like, like the later Batman movies when, he's kind of, more of a developed, character and got a lot of darkness about him, kind of drawn off of those movies. I think he could step into this role very well. I think maybe he'd have to bulk up a little bit, but
let's be honest for a second. Christian Bale can be in anything he wants to be in.
Yeah, really.
He can be any character. Like you said, he's so good at method acting. He can literally be an anorexic machinist in the movie The Machinist, where he lost like 100 pounds and literally weighed like 79 pounds while shooting.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. I heard his diet was like one boiled egg and like a half a cantaloupe or something a day, and that's all he had.
Like, if that, man, like you see that movie, that is nearly transparent.
And then like you said, he can bulk up. He put on some weight to play Batman.
Exactly.
He put on another from all that. It was just insane.
Yeah.
But I actually went with Josh Brolin. I think Josh Brolin is one of the most intimidating figures in Hollywood. He's got the ability to just command a room and just be like an asshole, but like without being mean, And I feel like that's kind of Giovanni's thing. Yeah. Like he's an asshole. He's the CEO of the corporation. He's the big head honcho, the big kahuna. But like he's not just straight mean. He's just powerful. He just comes off as power. And I feel like Josh Brolin in many of his roles has been able to pull it off. You guys know him as Thanos. He was just Cable in the Deadpool movies. He's been in so many movies. It's ridiculous to even go through all of them. But he looks great in a black suit and some slicked back black and gray hair, some salt and pepper action going on. And I can just see him just being very controlling of Jesse and James and just taking that whole relationship, and just it would probably be the relationship that stole the movie. The Team Rocket stuff would be super memorable with the three actors working together, being funny, quirky, and then demanding for Giovanni, carrying his Persian around. It would just be fantastic. I think Josh Brolin would be a great Giovanni. All right, it's time to talk about everybody's favorite rival in Pokemon, and that is Gary. Talk about someone being a true asshole. It ain't Giovanni, it's Gary. So I went with, I always say Timothy Chalamet, but apparently it's like Timothy. Like, I'm not sure. They pronounce it a little bit differently. It's even spelled with like an F and E, or a TH, Timothy Chalamet. Huge, exactly. Bless you. Huge up-and-coming star. He just starred in the Dune movie, which we're getting a sequel for the Dune movie coming out. Side by side with Zendaya, actually, so it'd be cool to see them. In real life, apparently they're really good friends, so if Zendaya is the choice for Misty, Timothy Chalamet being Gary would be a cool little dynamic again to see them like back at it together. And I just think Chalamet has the ability to just be a straight-up jerk. I think he would fit right into this role of him. He looks like a jerk, and I think he's got the ability to just act like a jerk, even though apparently he's like super nice in real life. But he looks, in the movies that he's been, he just has this power and this ability to just be a jerk. And that's the main reason I chose him, because he's the true villain of this story. is Gary. Team Rocket is there, but a lot of times they're too funny. Gary is just a butthole through and through. So Timothée Chalamet is my choice for Gary.
Yeah, I kind of went a little bit of a different route when I was thinking of Gary, and who to cast for him. And kind of what I always thought of as Gary, thinking back to the anime and everything, he always seemed like the ladies' man, right? Like everything that like Brock couldn't be, like Brock wanted, like all the ladies walking around him and cheering his name, Gary, he's our man, and all that stuff. Yep. But Brock never got that. So that's kind of the route I went.
Poor Taylor Lautner.
Right? Poor Taylor. But yeah, that's kind of the route I went. That was kind of the Gary I wanted to fulfill. So actually, when I was making this list, I was watching an episode of Stranger Things, and Steve the Hare Harrington popped up on screen. And, immediately just thought Gary, Gary's big old hair that he had and everything. Steve kind of, fit the mold for me right then and there. And I think he can be, the asshole. You think of him kind of earlier on.
Season 1.
In Stranger Things. Yeah.
Jerk.
Exactly. Season 1. Complete jerk. So I think he could pull that off as well. But the big thing for me, honestly, was the hair. So that was my big choice behind Gary here, and kind of, like I said, the kind of the more ladies' man Gary. Yeah, is what I was thinking.
Definitely ladies' man, but still definitely a jerk, because he is nothing but mean to the trio all the time. Right. Kind of like, hey, cool, you won that. I beat that guy 2 weeks ago. Like, come on.
Exactly.
That's always his personality. Great choice. I think Joe Keery is a great actor. The big up-and-coming actor, and what I like is he fits your age bracket of your guys too, to be about the same age as your Ash and your Misty, and same thing for Timothy with mine. He can definitely jump down to be an 18, 19-year-old kid. So
yeah,
both great choices, I think.
All right, you guys, so now we are getting into the gym leaders here. We have named off all the other main characters of our series here, so now it is time to get to the main gym leaders, and we're going to start things off here with Lieutenant Serge. And I have always thought that my pick here has always looked like Lieutenant Serge in all the different movies he's been in, mostly from like the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. But my choice is Dolph Lundgren. I don't know why, but he has always had like the Lieutenant Serge face for me. Like any movie that I had always seen him in, growing up as a kid, I would always be like, that guy looks like the Lieutenant Serge. So honestly, that's the main reason why I picked him. I think he could pull it off. Lieutenant Serge in the movies, or in the show as well, is much older, than a lot of the other people. Pretty much everyone else. So Dolph, he's getting up there now. I think they would have to kind of, de-age him a little bit. Yeah, with some movie magic. But I really think, he could. I think he could fit the role well. And I just think he's got that kind of attitude for it.
It's a cool choice because he's another one of those guys that's like super nostalgic. He's very recognizable. He's been around the block. Yeah, he's very recognizable for the older people. And for us in our 30s, he was very famous in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. He was, like that one step below Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and then you had Lundgren like underneath a little bit. But he was just in the Expendable movies, and he was fine, and that was not that long ago. You're talking maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago for Expendables. And he held his own in those movies, so I can definitely see him pulling off here. But I'm going with Stephen Lang, most popular for being the lieutenant in the Avatar movies. My favorite role that he did was he was in those Don't Breathe movies, Don't Breathe and Don't Breathe 2, where the kids break into the blind man's house, and he is like the scariest blind man in the world in that movie. Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Like
those are intense.
It's intense. And that's what I think of when I think Lieutenant Serge. I think intense, Yeah. And like you said, physically, Stephen Lang just looks like Lieutenant Serge, like even from his avatar.
Look at that picture you got up there. Yeah, it's pretty much like you already cast him and you took the picture.
That's exactly what I did. I called him and I was like, bro, you're in this movie. He was like, cool. And he sent me the selfie.
There you go.
No, that's a shot of him in Avatar where he basically wore the exact same regalia that they would as Lieutenant Serge. So I was like, this is the perfect image for this. But yeah, I went with Stephen Lang. Just physically he matches, age he matches, and intimidation factor he matches. So that's my choice. All right, so now it's time for arguably the most popular gym leader in the Kanto region with Sabrina, everybody's favorite ghost-type gym leader. And I went with Jamie Chung, most popular for being in the Gotham series and the Gifted series. And for me, a lot of the characters that she's played, even like in general, have been like kind of creepy, like ghost trainer movies for me, or shows for me, Physically, she fits the mold. Sabrina has always been like this, like little cute girl, but like was also like very scary at the same time. I think Jamie Chung would be able to pull that off perfectly. Like just have the innocent look, like that super innocent look, and then just being like creepy and scary on top of it. So I think Jamie Chung would fit perfectly in this role. And yeah, I mean that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, awesome. So I took one of your choices from earlier and put it right in this slot here. I'm going with Anya Taylor-Joy for Sabrina here, and you know it honestly it comes from her role in I almost call it King's Gambit, Queen's Gambit.
How dare you? The king is terrible in chess.
With his or with her just her seriousness about the role. Sabrina to me was always a very serious character in the animes.
Yes.
And I think if, you just put that Sabrina wig on her, I think, she kind of fits that mold as well. And I think she can really just kind of pull off that whole persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then, with the whole ghost type trainer, I just feel like that's the type of trainer she would be. So simply put, I went with Anya Taylor-Joy.
I like your choice
Sabrina.
here. I like your choice here. I love Anya Taylor-Joy, period. I think she can be in multiple roles. But I think Jessie for my selection and Sabrina with your selection, she'd be able to do both of these fantastically. And I kind of like her almost as Sabrina a little bit more because I think she does have that creepy vibe that she can pass off. With the dark hair, pale skin, she can definitely pull off that creepiness ghost trainer vibe. So I'm with you, but I'm sticking with Jamie Chung.
Right. All right, you guys. So we are talking about everybody's favorite fire gym leader now, and we are talking about Blaine. And for my choice, I went with Jim Carrey. And you might think like that's kind of a weird choice, right? But my inspiration 100% comes from Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Both 1 and 2, and I think in 2 that just recently came out. I think he kind of looks even more like Blaine. I just kind of think back to Blaine. Some of the Blaine cards in the TCG, more or less the Blaine cards in the TCG than I guess maybe more in the anime. With
the video games too.
In the video games, yes, as well. He kind of has like that evil scientist kind of vibe to him. He's got those big glasses on. He's got the crazy mustache that goes out, kind of like the like a Wario mustache almost, or like a big bushy one, just like I can't even think what his character's name is in Sonic, but
Eggman.
Just like him. Thank you. So
Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah. Perfect. Exactly. That's what it was. Simply put, that's that.
It's a great choice.
You could take him out of Sonic, put him into Pokemon, and I feel like that character fits really.
Absolutely, 100% agree, and that's why I did not choose him for this role because he already has a very similar character that he plays in Dr. Robotnik. So it'd almost just be like transposing Eggman over to the Pokemon movie.
But Pokemon's better. So I
agree. I agree. It would probably be fine. He would do a fantastic job. It's Jim Carrey. Again, he's earned his right to pretty much do anything in Hollywood that he wants to. But I went with Taika Waititi. Most popular. He was in the Free Guy movie where he was hilarious. He's the voice of Korg. He has been, I think he directed and produced the last 2 Thor movies, where his comedy style really comes in those Thor movies. And I can definitely see him carrying that comedic style over to Blaine, because Blaine is a funny character. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize this, but Blaine is 100% a funny character. Like when you go do his little game show stuff, like it's very slapstick. He comes off as a very scary looking person. He's like this old scientist guy, but he's quirky, he's hilarious, he's funny. And I think Taika would be able to pull that off perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Yeah. I think he's got the personality that would just fit that role. And you don't need to put him as like a linchpin of the series. He can just kind of be like a one-off character. He's a gym leader in the Kanto region, and then you don't need to see him the rest of the 3-4 movies that we have planned. And I think he would be completely okay with that. And he seems to me like he would be a fan of anime and a fan of Marvel just in general. Yeah. And he would understand it. He would get it, So Taika Waititi is my choice for Blaine.
Yeah, that's a great choice. And I was just going to say, if we can't get him in, for the Blaine role, maybe we can get him to direct the whole movie.
That's right. Oh, that would be cool. Maybe we could do both. Cameo as Blaine and direct it. I'm down.
There we go.
Totally down. Okay, so now we're going to go with probably, I would say, I mean, do you know anybody whose Koga is their favorite trainer in Kanto? I really don't. I feel like he's kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah, to go up against, maybe, because it takes like maybe 30 seconds to beat him.
Yeah, he's like one of the easiest trainers. He's the easiest trainer by far. But Koga, we're going to go with, and again, I don't know how to say this name, so I do apologize. I believe it's Simu Liu, right? Does that sound about right?
I think so. I think so. That's how I would have pronounced it, yeah.
Yeah, so I apologize if I butchered the name, but he's the actor for Shang-Chi. He's the guy that played Shang-Chi in the MCU, and he did a fantastic job. He's one of the most up-and-coming Asian actors in the entire world, and I think he's going to be starring in tons and tons of movies moving forward, including more MCU pictures. Obviously, Shang-Chi was a huge success. Surprised me. I went from not being very excited to seeing it, watched it, thought it was good, and now I'm excited to see what he does as like maybe part of an Avengers cast. Just having that familiar face here and watching him do fantastic as Shang-Chi, I think he can definitely hold the fort down as Koga. He's got the martial arts style, he's got that ability in him, which Koga's the fighting type gym leader. So I think that fits right there. And this is actually the only character where we chose the same actor.
We did, yeah. I was kind of surprised,
me too.
When I saw that. So, but yeah, I kind of, I had the same kind of mindset behind it. With the whole Shang-Chi movie came out, fantastic movie. I absolutely loved it. He did a fantastic job in it as well. I'm really excited to see, like you said, where he's going to be able to go, after this, outside of Marvel, but also, with Marvel and that whole universe that's going crazy right now too. So it's going to be super exciting to see more of him there. But when I got to Koga here, immediately just went to, I got to think of somebody that, kind of fits in the Kung Fu realm.
That's what I thought
the martial arts type of realm.
Martial arts.
And originally thought Jackie Chan, and I was like, no, Jackie, he's getting up there. He's getting up there. I know he'd be doing all his own stunts and everything, which would be awesome. But
you got Koga doing a lot of stunts in this movie?
Koga's going to be doing backflips, front flips. He's going to be doing kicks. It's going to be awesome. You got to show them off a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
Like as they're walking into the gym, you got all the guys like working out on the side, and then you got Koga in the background doing all the crazy stuff.
Heck yes,
it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, that's really what I went with. And like I said, I was like, I can't really go with Jackie Chan. He's been around the block like
and you already went with Jim Carrey and stuff too. So like I feel like Jackie Chan is very similar to Jim Carrey in terms of like age and like clout and stuff.
Yeah. So, naturally I thought of like the next kind of martial arts type of movie that I saw and went right to Shang-Chi, and this was the natural choice for me. I think he falls in line really well with like the age range that I was going with also. Especially for the trainers, because all the trainers are going to be a little bit older for the most part. So yeah, that's why I went with him. I think he'd be a fantastic choice.
It was a great choice.
You agree with
it's
me.
A great choice. I think I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to let you say that you chose the better guy.
Thank you. At least I get one.
All right, so time for the last gym trainer on today's list, and is everybody's favorite innocent grass-type gym leader, Erica. ASX, who did you go with, man?
Yeah, I went with Kelly Marie Tran from Star Wars, and I see that you had a similar thought on the Star Wars types of things here.
My Star Wars character is better, though.
I went with Kelly Marie Tran. Again, and I did this a lot with the gym leaders here. I honestly went a lot on kind of looks and kind of how I pictured them, from the game and the animes and everything like that. And I just kind of landed on Kelly Marie Tran. I think she, kind of fits the role really well. She can kind of definitely play, kind of that cute kind of grass type gym leader. And I think, just her personality blends really well to being a grass type trainer also. And I just, honestly, that's who I saw. I didn't have anybody else in mind for this role other than Kelly Marie Tran. So that's who I went with.
It's a good choice. It's definitely a good choice. And of course, you guys know I went with Daisy Ridley, another Star Wars actor, as you said.
Yeah.
Except I chose the better Star Wars actor. And
we'll let the people down in the comments make the decision on that.
That is right. We're gonna fight. But yeah, so for Erica, I went with Daisy Ridley, and what I kind of did for my gym trainers, and I kind of went the same way we're here with Daisy Ridley, is I wanted to find somebody that was recognizable but was not so famous that they were going to steal the movie, right? Because I want the movie to be about the trio and Team Rocket. Like those are the two things that I want my viewers to relate with the most, but I didn't want to have just nobodies in these other roles either. So I didn't want them to be like super famous, super popular, and at the same token, I didn't want them to be nobodies that nobody's ever heard of. So I almost wanted them to be like, oh, you know, I know who this is. That's really cool that they're in this movie for 10 minutes, you know, because let's face it, the gym trainers are not going to be in the movies for very long. They're going to be in for 10, 15 minutes during a scene where they defeat the gym, or Ash defeats the gym, or some kind of drama is taking place, something like that. Yeah. And I think just that little recognition of somebody like Daisy Ridley, the Star Wars actress, would be fantastic. And I think, again, physically, I'm with you. I wanted to find somebody who physically fit the mold of what I thought when I think Erica and Daisy Ridley with the brown hair. I chose her hair wearing a green top to kind of sway you guys into thinking she's a grass-type gym leader already. And I just think that she would fit the mold. She's got the chop. She's well-known enough, and she fits right in that perfect slot I was looking for. So that's it, guys. That is our fan casting of a live-action Indigo League Pokemon movie that takes place in the Kanto region. If you guys want to see us do a number 2 movie, right? Whether it's the Hoenn region or the Black and White games or Alola, like, we'll figure out what we're going to do. But if you want us to do another one of these, let us know down in the comment section right after you click that subscribe button and that like button. Let us know down there in the comments, what was your favorite choice? Who did you like the most? Who would be your Ash? Who would be your Erica? Let us know, guys, down below. And who had the better list? I know it's going to be me. I know you guys are going to go with my choices.
I don't know about that.
Like, have you seen the list,
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. You're just mad that I put Taylor Lautner on my list.
That's true. If anybody down there thinks that Taylor Lautner needs to be Brock, is going to get blocked immediately. And
I will unblock.
So rude, bro. Like, I bring you on and you're already taking over that sort of stuff. But yeah, guys, no, I think we both had very good lists. I think both of our movies would be absolutely fantastic. And I think Pokemon needs to jump on creating an Indigo League movie for us, so that way we can feel all the nostalgia. Again, I love that they're doing these like side missions with Detective Pikachu and all that kind of stuff, but we need the guts of Pokemon. We need it in live action, and this is where you start. Yeah. One last thing, ASX, what do you got to say before we get out of here?
I hope you guys want us to do another one of these. I had an absolutely fun time like putting this list together, talking through it here today. So I hope you guys liked it, and I'm excited to see if you guys want us to do another one.
I just want to say as well that I'm very surprised that when we were talking about Blaine, ASX wasn't like, I just think this guy would look the best standing next to his Arcanine. You know, like that's why I
wasn't trying to talk about Arcanine this episode, but if you want to talk about Arcanine, we can talk about
Arcanine. You're cut off. See you guys later.